I'm going to start. Good morning. Time to begin. The House Transportation Committee for February 13th, 2014 is now in session. We'll ask Clerk Adam to call the roll, please.
Representatives Burkhart, Butler, Camper, Carr, Cochran, Darby, Davis, Glenn, Grills, Harris, Hazelwood, Marsh, Martin, Pearson, Powell,
Here.
Powers, Rudd, Russell, Sherrill, Towns, Whitson, Wright, Vice Chairman Vital, Chairman Howell.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Any personal orders, announcements from the committee? It looks like we have several visitors. Does anyone on the committee know them and like to introduce them? Representative Butler.
Thank you, Chairman. We have Holly Montooth back here in the back, who's Upper Cumberland Director of Transportation. I want to recognize her for being here today. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other announcements? Seeing none, we do welcome our visitors. I wish we knew. Is there a leader of the group that would like to stand and tell us who you are? Yes, sir. You're recognized. Welcome. We're glad you're here. Members, we have 4 items on the calendar today. We're going to delve into the calendar, followed by a hearing with the Department of Safety. We're glad to have Commissioner Long and members of his staff here and should have a good conversation. But first up on the calendar is item number 1, House Bill 1928 by Chairman Sapicki. You're recognized, sir. I have a motion and a second. You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Bill 1928, members, revises the definition of a school bus as a vehicle designed to transport 16 or more passengers, including the driver, operated for the transportation of children to or from school or school-related activities, and operated for compensation. Revises the authorizations for Class C commercial driver's license and passenger endorsements for CDLs to include the operation of a vehicle designed to transport 16 or more passengers, including the driver, as opposed to more than 15 passengers, including the driver. Mr. Chairman, I want to say thank you to the Department of Safety for bringing this to my attention, allowing me to rectify this for the state. Thank you.
Good. It's good to have them with us today. All right. Any questions for the sponsor? Representative Pearson.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, sponsor, for the bill. This reclassification, will it allow for education departments or whomever would be the reclassification would support, or allow them to do that they're not currently able to do?
You're recognized.
Thank you. Current state law is 15 passengers, and the federal law is 16. Is to sync it up with the federal law, so we're not in opposition to it.
Okay. Got it. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Well, question's been called. Without objection, we're voting on House Bill 1928. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Your bill goes to finance, sir.
Wonderful. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 2 by Representative Hale, House Bill 1990. We have a motion and a second, Representative. And you are recognized. You do not have an amendment, I don't believe, on this.
No, sir. No
Okay.
amendment.
Yeah, you're recognized. Explain your bill, please.
Good morning, Chairman and committee. Thank you. House Bill 1990 is simply a language cleanup bill. This bill was brought to me by the Tennessee Disability Coalition, seeks to modernize language regarding drivers who are disabled. The terminology of current law is outdated, often leads to issues when comparing the language to the law to modern medical terminology. This legislation will not change who is eligible for a handicap placard. Department of Safety, Homeland Security has no issues, motor vehicle, as it's not expected to alter state practices in any ways.
Thank you, Representative. Committee, you've heard the explanation from the sponsor. Any questions? Question has been called. Without objection, we're voting on the bill. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Your bill goes to Calendar and Rules.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Moving on to House Bill 1805 by Representative Butler. We have a motion and a second on the bill, but I believe you have an amendment, sir?
Yes, Chairman, I have amendment.
What is the
Let me get to the right
amendment
page.
number?
Drafting code. Well, Just had that here shortly. It is 012787.
That's what I have. Before we move further, let's put the amendment on the bill. Have a motion on the amendment. Have a second on the amendment. All in favor of adding the amendment to the bill, say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Aye. The amendment is on the bill. Now explain your bill, sir.
Thank you, Chairman. So this legislation, and if you were in the Transportation Subcommittee, if you would just bear with me a moment to share. So this legislation comes from a tragedy that occurred in my district. And so there were two brothers that had dreamed of owning a trucking company. And in April of 2023, they went to the bank and borrowed money to buy two dump trucks, one for each brother. And Ethan Walls turned his 2-week notice in May of 23 so that he could fulfill his dream of being a full-time owner-operator trucking company. And unfortunately, in June, he was hauling gravel in Bledsoe County on a narrow road and rolled his dump truck off the mountain and killed him. And so this legislation comes out of that tragedy. His family put a request in to the Department of Revenue to receive a prorated refund on the tags for that dump truck. And if you're not familiar, dump truck tags, $1,200–1,300. And unfortunately, the department had a statutory reason they were not able to refund that. I worked with them for several weeks to try to figure out a way to do it, even spoke with the governor to try to help this grieving family out. And so that is the reason for this legislation. So what this legislation will do is will allow for a prorated refund in instances of a fatality for owner-operators of trucking companies or small businesses that have less than 3 trucks. So that's got some pretty tight guidelines on it. This is not going to help your large trucking companies, your Averets and Bailey Trucking and so forth. It's only going to help your owner-operators. And so I would ask for your support for this, not only for the folks that were in my district that experienced this tragedy, but folks across the state that have been in this situation that are owner-operators and small business owners that have lost a loved one. And with that, I renew my motion. Be stand for questions.
Thank you, Representative. Members, you've heard the explanation. Any questions or comments? Representative Glenn, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, sponsor. One question I have, what happens if someone gets hurt and they're disabled and they can no longer drive? I mean, I understand the whole aspect of a fatality, but what about when someone's hurt and no longer, does that not include that?
You're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. This bill doesn't address that. That's a great question. And if they were disabled, that might be something we need to look into in the future. But this bill does not address that.
Your follow-up, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I think that would be a great idea because, I mean, disabled, you know, that is the same to me in many senses. Not, I mean, obviously death is death, but when you're no longer able to work, there's no way to make an income. So I think that would be a great idea to maybe add that somewhere along the line. So thank you.
Representative Pearson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, sponsor, for this bill. I shared with you, my brother's a truck driver in subcommittee, and really appreciate the fact that this does come from your district and would help families into the future, if not the family immediately that you were, that came to you asking for support, but you did your due diligence in helping them. And I hope that this passes not only our committee, but will ultimately pass into law for them as well. Can you explain the amendment as I have it? I think this was a clarification that you made in your statements in subcommittee, but just to make sure we're all aligned, it says this section does not apply to refunds of another state's apportioned registration fees governed by a reciprocity agreement. Can you tell us why it had to be amended to say this?
You're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. That was due to the Department of Revenue asking if we would exclude that, because when a truck travels into Kentucky or another state, they have to pay a registration fee, so to speak, to be into that. And it would have made it extremely complicated to try to figure out what each state's apportioned tax would have been.
Okay.
And so to simplify the thing, and that was not my objective to deal with that, it was deal with tags that are bought in the state of Tennessee only.
Okay.
Any other questions? See, question has been called on the bill. All in favor of this bill, moving on to finance, say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Ayes have it.
Thank you, committee.
Sir, your bill goes to finance. Chairman Carr, you're up next with House Bill 1944. You're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This bill is more or less just a safety bill. It's for these cars that want to jack their car way down in the front and way up in the high where you can't see across the hood of the car to drive. And with this statement of this, anything that's over 4 inches in height would be considered against the law, and we have a fine that associated with that. And that is just publicly what it is. It's just a safety issue, sir, and that's why I'll bring this bill to you today.
You've heard the explanation, committee. Any questions or comments? Representative Pearson.
Thank you so much, and thank you, sponsor. I had a few questions during our subcommittee about this legislation. Still got a few now. Can you tell me why you chose 4 inches?
We copied a law. If I think we can go with it back to the legal if we have to. We copied the law that was over in North Carolina, and it stated that because 4 inches is about the highest that you can get that car. If you go any higher than that and you're sitting down and your trunk area is down low, you can't hardly see over the top of your hood to drive. So 4 inches is about as high as you can go and still be able to see over clearly and not be a safety issue.
And I know that when you brought this legislation before us in subcommittee, the example that you used was someone not only maybe just having 4 inches, it seemed to be much more substantial than that. And they were using some form of a camera to be able to drive. So it was impossible for them to see over the top. But you're saying if the difference between 3.9 inches and 4 inches is someone being able to see and drive?
Excuse me.
You're recognized.
You're getting into semantics right now. 3.9 inches, 4 inches. No measurement is exact, but we're calling it 4 inches, and that's about this height that you can see over your hood.
Follow up?
Indeed. And so this is my point exactly. The law enforcement officers are going to have a ruler out and spend time determining whether or not it's 3.9 inches or 4.1 inches to address the issue of, I believe you called it, road runs that are happening, because you said there have been a few instances where people have had their cars jacked up and it's led to an accident or something like that in your district. But again, my concern is having law enforcement to be looking at cars, trying to guess whether or not it's 3 inches or something like that, is not necessarily in the public safety interest. I think it could, unfortunately, have folks engaging with law enforcement who otherwise would not. And part of what I understand that you're trying to do, and that I really wish this would address, is like if someone is not able to operate their vehicle, driving it in the ways that we would presently assume, like using a camera or something like that to drive your car, like that not being okay, because I could really understand that. But I do believe having a legislation that is attempting to dictate these very potentially small changes and not being exact, right? They're not being an exact number even that you have or that we've been able to get from other states or the Department of Safety makes this much more problematic for me. The implications as it relates to these modifications in our law enforcement officers being used for this reason just is not something that I am able to support. And because of that lack of exactness, I am concerned about its application and how this gets implemented and who that impacts negatively. And I understand with road runs, a lot of the cars that are extremely expensive, people probably aren't riding on the road, right? You do put it in a trailer and you just want it to be for show. And so I don't want this to become a carte blanche for folks who do alter their vehicles to then end up being stopped unnecessarily when it's not even related to road runs or rod runs in particular. And so for those reasons, I'm still challenged by this law and don't believe that I'll support it.
Chairman Carr.
Thank you, sponsor. Thank you for those comments. If you've ever been to a rod run and you see those cars, I guarantee you can see the ones that are over 4 inches because they're sticking straight up in the front. There's no way anybody could possibly see over those cars. So we're trying to make it as safe as we possibly can for these people. And that's the reason I brought this bill. And it gives my police department up there, especially with all the instances we've been having. And with that, I stand for any more questions.
Question has been called, but I have, would you mind withdrawing just briefly? Thank you. Leader Camper, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for withdrawing your question. Mr. Sponsor, I have a question about whether there has been any research or evidence or any information provided with respect to the rate of accidents or any fatalities that have taken place because these cars are 4 or more inches in height like this. Is there any data to show that there's been some, an uptick in accidents or anything like that?
Chairman
that you
Carr.
have?
Thank you, ma'am. Don't have any data that I can show you that's printed out. I can go back to the police reports in Pigeon Forge and show you 3 incidences where those high-rise cars that have had small fender benders. But then there's a case too that if you can't see over the top of your car and you're looking at it, there could be a pedestrian walk in front of it or anything. So that's why we're trying to establish this law. It's called the Carolina Squat in other states, and we're calling this I guess you call it Tennessee Squat. We're just trying to make it safe for those cars. And like I say, when they drive down on the parkway or anything and they're bumping each other, bumping somewhere else, we're just trying to make it a safety issue.
Follow up?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Also, is there any provisions within the bill that would allow people whose cars will need to make the adjustment down? Is there any provisions to give people time to change the way their vehicle is to accommodate this new law that should it pass?
I don't mean to be tried or anything about this, but it's sort of like, everybody knows how high that is. If it's 4 inches and, the cops may give them one warning and get off the road or whatever, I don't know what that situation would be sort of like, you caught for speeding, you're going to pay for that fine. You can slow down the next time. This is 4 inches or over 4 inches. It's 8 inches or more. You cannot see. So this is the law to make it to safety, but maybe I didn't understand your question.
Follow up?
Yeah, thank you. Now, what I'm saying is if my vehicle is already, according to this law, 5 inches, it's already more right now.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to pass. So it seems like there's some mechanical things that I would have to do to get it. I don't know much about cars like that, but I need to be able to get it within the realms of this bill. And what I'm saying is people may have to put it in the shop to get it done. Is there any provisions to allow people an opportunity to get corrected so that they're not in violation of this law? That's what I'm trying to get. Is it that simple? They can just wind it down? I really don't know, to be honest.
Chairman
I just
Carr.
don't.
Thank you. And thank you for the question. I didn't mean to bring all this in here, but we will. The Carolinas, they have that law. And the reason they're coming over to Tennessee now, because they know that law and we didn't have a law. So now they're coming over to us. They won't go to North Carolina now because they know about the 4 inches. So we copied that. Now they're coming over to Tennessee. They're trying to block our roadway. So they know about the law over there. And so now they're just coming over to our side of the mountain, so to speak. And so if we make this same law, they're going to have the same law they have over there. And, like I say, it's just a safety issue.
Did you have a follow-up, Leader?
No, Mr. Chairman, I don't.
Thank
Chairman Grills.
I move previous question.
All right, previous question has been called. Without objection, we're voting on House Bill 1944. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. Ayes have it. If you want to be recorded as a nay, please see the clerk.
Thank you, Chairman. Committee.
Your bill goes to calendar and rules, sir. Thank you. Members, that completes our calendar. We're going to move into the hearing with Commissioner Long and members of his staff. They have several things to share with us, and we will let them have the mic for their presentation. And if we have time, we have to vacate the room at 9 a.m. I remind the members. If we have time, we'll have some Q&A. Commissioner Long, it's good to have you with us. And we appreciate you coming today to update the committee on things that are going on in the Department of Safety. You're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, members. Thank you for the invitation to come forward and try to brief you on some of the things going on in the Department of Safety and Homeland Security. In respect for your time, I'm going to let the experts talk about their division. So I'm going to let each division head, if you will, talk about it. We'll start with Colonel Perry with the Tennessee Highway Patrol.
Colonel Perry, good to see you, sir.
Good to see you. Thanks, Chairman. Colonel Matt Perry, Tennessee Highway Patrol. I'll keep mine brief because I'm assuming there's a lot of questions. Just want to tell you all the great things that the Tennessee Highway Patrol is doing. I know most of it is because of you. We've done so many things in the last few years, increasing our personnel. When I got the job, I think we were about 936 troopers strong, and we are sitting on about 1,190. We have 1,106 positions filled, but about 1,190 total positions with not counting this year's budget ask. And what that's allowed us to do that we haven't done in the past is, we've increased troopers, and there's 8 districts in the Highway Patrol. I know you all know that, but we've increased troopers in all 8 districts, and we are trying our best to work all the calls for service on the interstate systems. We feel like that's our responsibility, but we also are a support agency. We want to go and help and support everywhere we're needed, everywhere we're called, whether it's Mountain City or anywhere in between, all the way to Memphis. I mean, we're here to support tornadoes, all the natural disasters. Everybody remembers the snowstorm we just got recently, and troopers, are working around the clock while most of us are sleeping. We're flying at aviation missions, new helicopters we've gotten. We've hired 2 new pilots. We hired 3. Unfortunately, 1 didn't make it through the process, but we've hired 2 new pilots. So we've got pilots in West Tennessee now. We, unfortunately, with our helicopter crash from a couple of years ago, we were down a pilot in West Tennessee. We've got 2 pilots in West Tennessee now, I'm happy to say, and they're needed. Everybody knows in East Tennessee, we got hikers and people that go missing almost on a daily basis, kayakers, and we're flying missions almost daily for that. Obviously, manhunts and things that are going on right now, the suspect out of Blount County. Couple of things. I wanted to thank Chairman Grills, for giving us a little time to work on. I know ATVs, off-road vehicles is a big subject, and we want to get something that is a statewide application versus, this piecemealing that we've been doing. And thank you for giving us a little time to work on it. We've gotten input from 32 states and their state laws. We're analyzing that, and we want to be a good partner and work with you and come up with something that makes sense for everybody. We know it's big industry in East Tennessee. We know farmers in West Tennessee. I think the handgun lock stuff may come up, and I just wanted to go ahead and touch on that. We've issued out over 11,000 locks for guns. We've got another 8,000 on hand. We've gotten them to every THP district headquarters, every driver services center. We've got another 25,000 on order, and our intent is to give 100 to every county clerk and sheriff. So every county in the state will have some where people can go and get a lock for a gun. I think I'll probably just stop there and let everybody else speak, and then be ready to answer your questions. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if you allow me to also, school safety naturally has been a big issue across Tennessee. Excuse me. And since the bill passed or the order from the governor came out about troopers checking doors at schools, I think we're over 70,000 doors that have been checked by troopers across the state of Tennessee. So they've done an excellent job on that.
Very good.
Next, Assistant Commissioner Michael Hogan with Driver Services.
Mr. Hogan, good to see you.
I see you, Chairman. Good morning, everyone, and the members. AC Hogan, Department of Safety. I'm going to talk about all 3 divisions within the driver services. As many of you know, we have the driver's license issuance, commercial, and then financial responsibility. So I'm going to hit a little bit on each one of those. Over the last couple of years, we've really been focusing on innovation, finding ways so that we can reduce the traffic in the driver service center and make it a little bit more convenient for the public. So I'm going to first start with the commercial driver's license division. We have about 200,000 CDL drivers in the state. One of our biggest challenges has been historically is making sure that we have facilities available to do testing. Right now, we have 7 locations across the state. And right now, I'm proud to say that we're probably averaging about 3 days to schedule a road test. There's a couple of locations where it's a little bit higher than that, but on average, it's about 3 days to schedule a road test. Back in 2020, 2021, we started a new program where we allowed the public to upload their documents. Commercial, these will be their like their med certs and any other compliance documents. Since then, that's 146,000 documents that have been uploaded by the public. And why is this huge? Historically, what would happen is either the driver would have to visit a driver service center, would have to fax that information in. Now they can take a picture of that information, upload it, goes to their account, and it's processed generally within 24 hours or less. We also, in 2022, we implemented the entry-level driving training testing program. This is a federal program. They're required the state to regulate all new testing schools. Tennessee has been recognized for its model of how we've been doing that. Right now, we have 786. This was as of February, and we did 521 visits. And so what do? When we regulate these schools, we actually go out, we visit the school, we provide feedback, all right, and we inspect the school to make sure they're meeting their compliance. Also, to help with commercial drivers and increase the pass rate, we created a tutorial online. It's a video that does a pre-trip inspection. Now, this is in the final phase. We've done some editing to them, but the purpose of this is to allow a commercial driver to actually see the video of what the test will consist of. And we're finding, as you know, with all the videos that are online, YouTube and other videos, I won't mention the other one, but all of those videos, people are using that now in everyday life. So we brought that to the public sector. And so what this video do, if an applicant studies this video, in addition to the material that we provide online and hardback, we should increase our pass ratio. We would like to get it up over 80%. But again, this is just a tool for the public, right? But it will increase that pass ratio. And then also, one of the initiatives that we started last year was we created a CDL incentive program. And this is huge for us. Generally, if we lose a position, whether resignation, retirement, whatever the case may be, it can take up to 90 days, even longer, to replace that position for the training that's involved and in finding qualified candidates. So we created a program last year. We opened up 20 positions, and from this body, we received funding in our budget that we fund 20 driver's license examiners so that they will become certified. This pool allows us to have a pool of examiners when someone retires or resigns, that we can just pull them up, next man up, as opposed to waiting that 90 days. We have 9 people in that program right now. It's been a great program. We have actually had 3 that went full time, and you never saw any disruption in the process. So that program's been a success, and we're happy about that. Moving to driver's license, again, a lot of things we've done here, and this is on the issuing side. So we've remodeled several of our driver service centers, Gallatin, Murfreesboro, Franklin. We had a couple more in the hopper. We also had one, we opened Express Center in Murfreesboro. You know, that's the 5th, or it's actually between the 4th and 5th largest county in the state. And so we have an Express Center there. The only other 2 counties that have Express Centers will be Shelby County and Davidson County. So this is huge for that community there. We also will be rolling out this year 285 kiosks across the state. Currently, we have 39. Of those 285, 130, 140 of those will be put in driver service center. The goal there is to have a self-service option. So if you've probably gone to places like McDonald's, FedEx, those places allow you to start the process and complete it as long as you have a credit card. That's the model we want to put in driver service center. So we'll have about 130 inside the driver service center. The other 150 will be across the state. And the goal is to make sure every county has representation. And that would include either driver service center, a partnership with local government or the county clerk, or a self-service kiosk. You'll be able to conduct most of your transactions, those we call express transactions, on the kiosk. And so by the end of the year, hopefully we'll have all of those rolled out. New card. We have a new driver's license card that's coming out this year. It'll be the latter part of 2024. This is a little bit more secure card. It's a little bit different than the one we have now, but as you probably heard across the country, the driver's license used to be one of those documents easily to replicate. Well, the industry's gotten smart about that, and so we're using newer technology, laser engraved technology on the driver's license. This right here will help combat fraud and replication of a driver's license. Many states face this. I sit on a couple of committees nationally, and this is probably one of the biggest challenges we face with. Real ID. Most people may ask about the question, where do we stand on Real ID? Well, out of the state, we have 5.7 million drivers. Right now, I'm proud to say that we have 2.2 who have their Real ID. Another 1.7 have elected not to get a Real ID, and that could be for various reasons, such as they may already have one of the other cards that accept it to board an aircraft. And then we have 1.8 legacy license. I think our goal by the end of the year, or not end of the year, but by the implementation date, which is May 7th, 2025, we'll probably be at about 3.2 million if we continue at the rate we're going right now, for those who want it. Again, this is option, but for those who want it. We implemented in 2020, I think it was 21, an online knowledge driver's test. So far, we've had 142,000 people take advantage of that. The ages between 15 and 17, you're allowed to go online. Your parents will proctor you, and you take a 30-question test. You're allowed to take it twice before you're required to come into the driver service center. And why has this been huge? This has been a success for us because that's one of the transactions takes most of the time when you come to driver service center. The average tester takes about 20 to 25 minutes. So we reduce that by allowing them to come, allow them to do it at home before they come to the driver service center. So that's had a huge impact on slowing down the traffic, and we can focus on those other transactions. Also, we created a video as well. This is a video to help the public, anyone traveling in Tennessee. We want you to start that process online. Everything from starting your application, uploading your documents, and scheduling an appointment. This video we rolled out in September, and it walks the public through the steps of what you'll need to do. If you do everything in that video, then you should be in the station in and out in less than 10 minutes once you schedule your appointment. Something else we did was upload documents. Now, this is for Real ID, but anyone who's applying for a Tennessee license. Since we implemented this in 2021, we've had 400,000 documents uploaded. And these are your compliance documents. So many times you probably heard people come to driver service center and say, well, I didn't have the correct document. What this does is you upload the document, we review the documents, and we send you an email back telling you we received your documents, you have the correct documents. And if you don't have the correct documents, we advise you which documents you need in order to meet the requirement. Once the applicant goes to driver service center, the staff will review that. They don't have to scan them anymore. They just move them over to their record. And again, this has reduced time and traffic in the driver service center. I talked about the CDL initiative earlier, and then our financial responsibility. We just actually started this back in September earlier this year, working on this project called the Court Disposition Reporting. What this does is this helps out the courts in reporting to the department their violations and dispositions. One of the challenges we have is often when they send that information in, they may be missing information. What happens is we have to search that. So with this right here, it's going to help us in the fact that the courts will now be able to see what they're sending in. They will be getting an error message. If it's incomplete, they will complete that before they upload it and send it to the department. What does this do? What does this do? It reduces the error rate, and it also increases the efficiency in getting the information to our system so that it's updated in a timely manner. Also there in October of 20, we started with the upload document process as well for reinstatement documents. 124,000 documents have been uploaded, and those are generally cleared within. Our goal for the financial responsibility is try to get to 24 hours, but sometimes that could be a little bit more difficult depending on the case and so forth. And then let's see here, reinstatement transactions with the legislation that was passed a couple of years ago, we're actually seeing that number drop because of all the different programs that have been set up and legislation that was passed. Last year we had 38,000, reverse that. 2023 we had 38,000, and the year before that it was 26,000 in an inaugural year. So, Mr. Chairman, that's my report, and I'll take any questions.
Thank you.
yeah.
Very, very good report. Encouraging. Do we have more testimony, Commissioner?
Yes, sir. One more. Assistant Commissioner Greg May, or Deputy Commissioner Greg Mays with the Office of Homeland Security.
Welcome, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, members of the committee. Greg Mays, I'm the Deputy Commissioner for the Tennessee Office of Homeland Security. I know we're under time constraints. I'll be very brief. The Office of Homeland Security benefited significantly last year from increases in funding from this General Assembly, and it was essentially focused on two things. One, an SRO grant to put SR or make available money for SROs in every school, and two, an expansion of Homeland Security to put a Homeland Security agent in each of Tennessee's 95 counties. Quickly about the SRO grant. $140 million became available on July 1st. We had the mandate to get that money out to the law enforcement agencies in the counties as quickly as possible. We were able to make significant progress. Today, 101.7 million of that 140 has been dispersed. We have provided funding to each of Tennessee's 95 counties has received SRO grant funding. 1,356 schools out of Tennessee's approximately 1,860 have received money for an SRO. I think that's significant progress. There are approximately 4 counties that went from 0 SROs to having at least 1 SRO in every school. So we feel like we made very good progress with the SRO grant, and I really appreciate the support and help from the General Assembly in helping us achieve those goals. And then the second thing you may be interested in is the expansion of Homeland Security. On July 1st, we had 19 Homeland Security agents. We have since expanded. We have 20 Homeland agents that are going to graduate from a class this Friday. That will bring it up to 57 new hires since July 1st. We have another class scheduled in March. I'm hopeful that if we continue to make progress, we will be just about fully staffed. I think a couple of weeks ago, I said by the end of session. I think it's more realistic. It'll be during the summer. Maybe we can be fully staffed. We're making very good progress. I will say we've been very busy. We keep track of threats to schools, just the ones that we receive. That doesn't mean that's all the threats to schools, but just the ones we received. Since school started, we're now at 101. And when you do the math, it comes out to about 1 per school day. We're very active. We investigate every credible threat to a school, and we run it out until we can make a determination on whether the threat poses a real concern for violence at the school. We continue to work hard to make sure our schools are safe. And I think with that, I will stop. I know we're under time constraints. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Commissioner. Commissioner, is anything you'd like to say to wrap up?
No, just appreciate the support of the committee and appreciate support that we've been very, very blessed by your actions of what you've given our department the last 3 or 4 or 5 years. And we really appreciate it. And we're trying to do a good public service for the state of Tennessee and for the citizens of Tennessee. Thank you for your support.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have about 22 minutes left, and if you have the time, I've got a list of people who'd like to ask some questions. First, let me say on behalf of, I see he's left the room for another meeting. I was going to say on behalf of Speaker Marsh and myself, we appreciate what your department has done with regard to the CDLs. That had gotten to the point of being almost critical for our trucking industries and other people who have to have CDL to run their business. And I've been just really impressed with the turnaround that we've seen. And your turnaround time, last I checked, was 7 to 8 days now on the licensing. And so great progress has been made, and we have good people that looked into that, and I do appreciate it. Thank you very much. First on the list is Chairman Whitson.
Thank you, Chairman, and again, welcome, team. And I just want to express, Mr. Chairman, my appreciation for the department, the commissioner and his team, and their help with us in the Transportation Subcommittee. Their advice is critical to us completing our mission. It's trusted, it's timely, and it's always accurate. Commissioner, I just want to tell you, you got a great team working for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman. Representative Glenn, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you all for being here. It is I'd like to echo what the chairman said about the CDL license. I think that was a really good program that we were able to do with that. Also, Colonel, I want to thank you all for what you all did with the tornado in Montgomery County. I know that when I called and asked a question about what resources the state provided, I mean, you all were there pretty quick and you were there so fast. I mean, we didn't even need all of you. So thank you for all you do. Commissioner, I just have one question real quick. I know we were able to transfer some military license over to the CDL program. Is there any other area in your department where using military background service members getting out that we can help fund or help fill those sections? I know you talked about SROs and things like that. Is there anywhere else where we could probably look at that and see if the military backgrounds would fit that area?
Thank you for the question. Yes. Matter of fact, the Veterans fellowship program where military veterans are leaving service in the next short period of time. The state has really looked at start indoctrinating those into state government. They're quality people, have great ideas, great resumes. Matter of fact, we have one now with our department that's working with us full time, and hopefully we'll be able to offer them an opportunity once they do retire from the military. We have found out they have a knowledge of various things that are really a benefit to every department. And I know health has one, we have one. You remember who that? There are several other departments that have them, but it's been a blessing, and we're looking for military in particular. They're dependable, they're hard work, they're dependable to show up for work. So any division we have, we look for them to offer them positions in our department.
Follow up?
Thank you for that. I'm a retired veteran, so thank you for making me look good in what you just said. But if there, like I say, if there's anything I can do from my perspective, I'd love to, talk to you about what I can do to help with it. Thank you much.
Thank you very much. Representative Russell, you're on the list next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you all for being here today. Truly appreciate the job that y'all do, especially for sending the troopers up to Blount County to help with the manhunt for the guy that shot and killed Deputy McCowan. And I want to say I appreciate you all staffing these rural counties, 21st districts. We got more troopers than ever before. I do have a question. Has the fatality rate went down since we added more troopers, or how's that going?
Well, so COVID, overall crashes went down, but fatal crashes went up during the pandemic. It was a unique thing nationally. So we were down the year following the pandemic, 21. We were down in 22. We were up 20 fatal crashes last year, so about a 1% increase. Right now, we're down about 30 fatal crashes to date, and it's early in the year, but it's still we'll take being down 30. So I think we're going to see it trend down now. Tennessee is unique. We're growing like crazy. There's people coming here, traveling here. That creates more vehicles on the roadway, more crashes, and unfortunately more fatal crashes. I'm hoping to see that number go down. That's a part of more troopers stopping cars, changing driving behavior. Hopefully that answers your question.
Follow up?
Sounds good. And tell the men and women we appreciate the job they do. We see them out there working. And I can't go on the road to Monroe County or Loudon that I don't see a trooper. And I appreciate that. I do have a question for driver's license. 5 years ago, we met and talked about third parties and testing for bus drivers. We had a bad problem about getting these bus drivers out on the street, these school buses. Has anything progressed over that?
If you don't mind, I'm going to let Tim Gregory, the director of CDL, answer that.
Thank you.
Representative Russell, I'm Tim Gregory. I'm the CDL director. Yes, sir, we've addressed that as best as of today. We've got several examiners that are getting certified for school bus testing. We also expanded the number of trainers that we have in that area, and we're trying to address those needs. We've also recruited, well, I say recruit, we've explained the process to different school districts, and they now not only test their drivers, but they're willing to test other counties. So we're hoping that'll make a big difference.
Follow up?
Great. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
If I could, tagging on to Representative Russell's question, could you talk about third-party testers, where we stand on third-party testers for the CDL?
Yes, sir, Chairman Howell. Right now, we have close to 100 examiners across the state. We have 60 third-party organizations across the state. Of course, we try to balance the areas of need before we have any others join the program, but that's where we are right now.
Very good. It's been a great improvement, and I appreciate the work you guys have done. Representative, I'm sorry, did you have something, Ms. Stroker?
Elizabeth Stroker, Legislative Director. I was going to add that the bill that Representative Sapicki just brought before y'all also will help lessen the constraints around people either needing or trying to get a school bus license. So we're hoping that helps as well, too.
Good point. Thank you. Chair Lady Hazelwood, you're next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning. I too see a lot of state troopers, and I have to say that my first reaction is perhaps not whoopee, but but I do appreciate what you all do to keep us safe on the roads. On the driver's license, you mentioned the fact that there's new technology, so we'll be replacing Tennessee license. Will that be done just as people's license expire? Or will there be an effort to get these old licenses out of circulation sooner than the regular expiration date?
So anyone, again, AC Hogan, anyone who's up for renewal will get their new license. There's not a push to remove the old license out of circulation. We've been on an 8-year license since 2016, and so there will be a transition period for those old licenses to be replaced with the new ones.
But if someone wanted to proactively replace theirs, that could be done. correct?
Absolutely, yes, ma'am. They will just request a duplicate or replacement license.
Thank you.
Very good. Representative Pearson, you're recognized.
Thank you so much, Chairman, and thank you to Commissioner and to the entire team for being here. I've got a particular question for you, Colonel Perry. Look, Memphis, and some of my colleagues may not know this, but we had in 2023 nearly 100 interstate shootings, and compared to 79 in 2022. I advocate substantially for us to do something about people having access to weapons and guns who should not have them. And I know that we've increased the number of troopers that we have. I too see you all on the highways, but I am wondering about whether or not the troopers are also on city streets doing pretextual traffic stops as well.
Colonel?
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Representative, for the question. Yeah, we get a lot of texts and calls about troopers in Memphis. We've been, really proactively trying to do our part to help reduce gun violence, especially on the interstate. If we can stop more cars and be present on the interstate and handle that, then hopefully Memphis Police Department can work the city streets. Hopefully the Sheriff's Department can stay out in the county, handle the county areas. That's our goal. And right now, until we get our numbers up in Shelby County, we've increased greatly over the last several years. I think we've got 15 or so people in cadet school that are going to be assigned to Shelby County, and most of those people are from the area. We're not sending, people who are don't know the area. We're excited about that. I'm hoping we're going to have about 35 to 40 troopers in Shelby County, where we can take all the calls for service. The biggest thing we can do, besides just being present, it helps deter any kind of violence, but certainly just traffic violence. People, poor driving, bad driving. Shelby County, unfortunately, has had the highest fatality rate of any county in the state. Obviously, it's the biggest city and county in the state. So if we can go there and make strides to make driving safer, make everything safer on the roadways, that's our goal. We try our best not to get on city streets. Now, that doesn't mean, we don't see somebody speeding on, let's say, 240. They get off the interstate. We may end up making a stop, but our traffic stops. We try to stop people for things that cause fatal crashes, speed, any kind of aggressive driving, obviously running red lights, impaired driving. And then we enforce things like not wearing your seatbelt, because we know on the interstates and anywhere, the faster you go on not wearing your seatbelt is gonna kill people, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Follow up?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for answering that. Making sure that interactions with law enforcement, when they do happen, are positive interactions is extraordinarily important. And a lot of folks are doing advocacy and work to limit those interactions as much as possible, so much so that there are opportunities for people to get their lights changed and other issues that could lead to potential pretextual traffic stops. And that's deeply concerning for us, because we unfortunately have lost members of our community due to those interactions with police officers and with law enforcement, where they've literally been killed because, someone said that they didn't put on a blinker or something like that, which ultimately became not true. And so that's just something that we want to make sure that we keep sort of top of mind. And I'll wrap up here, Deputy Assistant Commissioner for Homeland Security, appreciated your comments. It's a political question about whether or not we should invest so much money in SROs. I know you are doing a job, which is to implement the will of this body. And so thank you for the service that you are doing. But as it relates to our safety and our security of having illegal weapons in our state or being transferred, recently there was a case where an individual committed a crime in East Tennessee, actually, with a stolen gun from Memphis. And so how is that being tracked in the work that you are doing as it relates to our safety as well?
Thank you for the question. Tracking stolen weapons is really not something that the Tennessee Office of Homeland Security gets into. You know, you have the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms that handles that. Local police investigate stolen weapons. You know, we are we just don't have a handle on how stolen weapons are moving.
And I can add, I think that the TBI holds data relative to that potentially. I can get them to look into it, but I think they may be a better repository for some of that information.
Thank you, Elizabeth, Deputy Assistant. Thanks, Chairman.
Thank you. Representative Towns.
Chairman, thank you. Thank you, team members. Oh, great reports. It's a far cry from where we started last year with some reporting on the same information. So high kudos to all of you all. And as it relates to CDL licenses, are we licensing double backs, triple back driving trucks in the state of Tennessee?
Yes, Chairman, we do the double back trailers is what you're referring to, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
But not the triple backs.
No, that's not.
Good. Scary.
Follow
Very
up?
scary. Yes, sir. Of course. Also on the highway, a lot of us have been driving up and down the highway for quite a bit. Frequently, I see all kinds of things on the highway. I've seen dead people on the highway. I've seen trucks burn up with people in it, all kind of stuff in 30 years. Accidents, people stranded on the road. When I call the highway patrol, they always dispatch somebody because I'll call it in because people are in, and you know, they're in really need or a bad situation. Okay, so I appreciate you guys actually going out and assisting people. Sometimes women with children or without, or an elderly person, problem with the car, and they just look like a deer caught in the headlights. So I appreciate that. Homeland Security. I'd love to hear more about the next time about the homeland. Okay. And security of the homeland from Mountain City to Memphis as it relates to bridges and other things of that nature too. That very well concerned me because the world is changing so much. We don't know. We cannot afford to get relaxed and comfortable based upon what you see in the world. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you for that comment, and you're right on point. Some people may have the misconception that school security is all we're focused on. We are in Homeland Security very focused on the state's critical infrastructure and protecting it all across the 16 different recognized sectors, from transportation to agriculture to communications to all of it. We have a dedicated personnel working on the critical infrastructure issue. 80% of the state's critical infrastructure is held privately, right? So it's not in government hands. So we work with a lot of our private sector partners to help them with their security plans. We look carefully at the complex interdependencies of our infrastructure. So we have worked with TEMA significantly following the Christmas Day bombing. We learned quite a lot about how we didn't have a good picture of some of the infrastructure issues, and so we developed a project with TEMA where we are cataloging the state's critical infrastructure by going to the local emergency managers and the local sheriffs in that area and asking them, hey, what's critical to you? What is essential in your county, in your area? And then we're populating that in a database, and then we are able to look, everyone in the county leadership can look at their own county, state leadership can look at the whole state, and we can make decisions whether there's an earthquake or a bomb or some kind of a flood or significant incident. We can make decisions on where to send resources and what is critical within that area. So your point is very well taken, and we are very, very focused on critical infrastructure around the state. Thank you for saying that.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. And members, thank you.
Thank you. Members, we're rapidly running out of time, and I have 3 names left. Representative Butler, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll be brief. First of all, I want to commend the CDL testing. I know last year when y'all were here, it was much longer than that. And also I want to thank our Tennessee Highway Patrol. I've talked about Highway 62 in Morgan County in this committee more than once, and I do want to commend the Highway Patrol for increasing their patrol on Highway 62. It has helped tremendously reduce our fatalities on that road, and I would encourage us to continue to keep that presence there and help. People always slow down when they see a highway patrolman. I think my colleague sitting next to me said nobody's necessarily excited about seeing a trooper, but I'm encouraged that it's helping to reduce our fatalities, and just want to thank y'all for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Leader Camper.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to follow up with Representative Towns' question with respect to Homeland Security. Is it possible, Mr. Commissioner, that you all could come by and set up a time where we can have a conversation and get a overview input, with
Absolutely.
respect to security? Okay.
We'd love to do that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Commissioner.
Follow up?
Yes, sir. Thank you also for coming to Memphis for my Meet Your State Government Town Hall. It was very well received. The department came down and Mr. Chairman, they were on the spot giving people, well, I was allowing people to apply for and receive their real ID, like on the spot. And the citizens there really appreciated it. I mean, unfortunately, it was during a time that we had a terrible storm brewing and the parade and a lot of stuff was canceled. So people thought everything was canceled, but a lot of people did show up. It was good to see you all there. People learned so much about the department. And so I really appreciate you committing to come down, send team down to Memphis for that. So I look forward to doing it again. It was very well received. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Chairman Grills.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you all for being here. Colonel Perry, what you brought up about the ATVs and all that, I really appreciate the shout out there and the commitment to making sure we get something done, regardless if it's this year, next year, whenever it is. And also, yesterday we had a pretty good conversation about the hardship license and trying to revamp that whole system. Appreciate the commitment to make sure we get that accomplished. But a couple of questions is, last year we gave Colonel Perry gave you several new positions. How many of those positions have not been filled? Or how many positions do you have open now currently? I believe you alluded to it early on, but I wanted to.
I almost thank you, Chairman, for the question. I almost went there, but it came out naturally. So, like I said, we're sitting on about 1,106. We've got, I'm going to get the number wrong, 50 in cadet school right now. We've got another 72 or so that will start 100 and, let me rephrase it. We've got 36 people we've hired that haven't started cadet school. We've got another 70 something that are not technically in our numbers right now. We're going to be almost full, is the long story short. We're going to be just shy of full, which we've never been this close to full in my career. So I think we told you when we asked for the first positions, we're going to change the way we hire. We're not just going to hire once a year and make it this long process. We hire every quarter. We have a cadet school every quarter, and we are almost full. It's pretty amazing, actually.
Follow up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for that answer. Now, what do you do with the extra dollars that you have that you don't have allocated necessarily to payroll now? Where are those dollars, and how are you able to use those, or are they sent back to the general fund? How does that work?
I actually don't know the answer to that,
Okay.
but I do know that there won't be a whole lot of extra dollars in 2 weeks.
And I kind of want to ask the same question of the Department of Homeland Security, though. We gave y'all several positions last year. Where are you at now in having those filled, and how many are open still?
Thank you for the question. We are, as I mentioned, we have 20 and we've hired 37. We have 20 in class that'll graduate Friday. That'll be up to 57, and then another 20 in March. So we're at the end of the March class, I
Halfway
would
there.
say we have another 20 or 25 to go. We're moving as quickly as we can. We're doing about one class per month, and it's usually about 20 agents.
And if you have someone that's interested in applying for one of those positions, what's the best way to go about that?
They can send a resume to homeland.security@tn.gov, or you can contact me directly.
Thank you.
Thank
That's it,
you.
time.
Members, we are straight up 9 o'clock out of time. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? So moved. We are adjourned. Thank you, Commissioner, for coming.